Okay, so depending on how you look at it, we're either at the beginning or the end of Highline Park. On the west side. This is Washington Street. In the meatpacking district, you can see the cobblestones there. Not much meatpacking going on these days. A lot more fancy schmancy shops, as you can see. And down that way is the West Village. And now we're looking east towards Hudson Street. Let's take a walk up here. Very un-Manhattan-like at this point with a lot of trees, but there you can see that's a hotel that actually is built directly over the walkway. Now we're looking at the west side, the Hudson River, and that's Hoboken across on the other side of the river, and the West Side Highway right in front of us. That's a hotel.
Of course, would be like, yes, it's so funny.
Like everybody insert plan.
Lots of people out enjoying a nice early fall afternoon. I can't imagine this narrow pathway getting pretty crowded on a weekend. It's a weekday today. This is a little bit further north from where I shot the previous video, and one of the interesting things about being up on the High Line is that there's just lots of interesting things to see, interesting architecture and city scenes when you look to the sides, and you get ridiculously close to buildings, the higher floors of buildings that you might not normally see. Let me see if you can look at that interesting structure right there. As well as nice views of what's going on the river. And this building right here is an example. Whoa. Definitely not the most private rooms if you feel like keeping your shades open. And the High Line was an old rail line that ran up the west side. And it's recently been reopened as a park. State Park, I believe. High Line State Park. And along the way here, there are some artists selling their wares, and further up, there's some food. I think ice cream and coffee two very popular treats, especially on a nice day like today. I'll take another video a little bit further up the road. So here we've got people lounging on these wooden bench / lounge chair type things, and you can gaze out at the Hudson River. Enjoy the sounds of the traffic from the West Side Highway. Whichever you please. This is pretty interesting. It's a little fountain. Well, I'm not sure it's that little, but it's an interesting fountain that is just water moving along the concrete here. That is actual water. I guess on a hot day you can take your shoes off and walk in it, and some of the kids are really wanting to get in it, and their parents aren't too thrilled about that. Up here is that spot I talked about earlier that has some different kinds of food. You have, it looks like different kinds of ice pops and some espresso going on and some ice cream. A little bit further along. There you go. Excuse me, gelato. I may have to get some of that. 1 scoop, $3. Premium price, but it's a premium location. And further down here, we got what looks like a coffee bar. Oh, it's a regular bar. I see someone with a beer. Nice place to have a happy hour. A porch. And nice place to get in the shade when it's really sunny like it is now. This is pretty interesting. We're at by the sign, street sign, West 17th Street and 10th Avenue, and this is looks like a little amphitheater. That's okay. A little amphitheater that I guess allows you to look straight up 10th Avenue and enjoy the view of the traffic. And here's some of the more buildings in very close proximity. So you can go down and just get a view of traffic heading up 10th Avenue. There's also a pretty unique view this way. You really can't see it in the distance from the quality of the camera, but from this vantage point with the naked eye, you can see the Statue of Liberty, which is a pretty unique view of the Statue of Liberty, if you ask me. And from the looks of that, people taking pictures, that's definitely a favorite photo spot, since you can get a bird's eye view of straight up 10th Avenue. And here's some of that unique architecture I mentioned earlier that has sprouted up adjacent to this park. You can see right there. I remember when that building was under construction, and it definitely looked like it was going to be something unique, and it's right across from Chelsea Piers, which is a big sports and entertainment complex. And here on the east side, more interesting architecture. At least interesting by New York standards. The old and the new side by side. And there's a view of the Empire State Building as we get closer to 20th Street. Every few blocks along 10th Avenue, there are stairs and in some cases elevators that allow you to get up onto the High Line. There's the Empire State Building again. Okay, so here's a spot with, again, more interesting architecture. More really close apartments. Yes, you too can live within feet of the High Line for the right price. And a nice green lawn here that begs to be sat on, but it was just seeded, so you're not allowed on the lawn. It's a great comment. There's no real view. And maybe that's the view, the fact that there really is no long view, everything's just around you. Not sure if I'd want a kitchen that's just a few feet from the prying eyes of the New York public. I guess that's... Someone will enjoy it, though, at some point. Give it time. There's a view. Down the street. Some cookies and ice cream. So I think you get the picture of the High Line. Some interesting walking, interesting things to see, and a little bit of a different flavor when you're in New York. And well, it's free, so who can complain about that?
Well, it's about...
And this is the end of the High Line, at least on the north side, up at 30th Street. You can see some of the old supports there, trailing off towards, I guess, down 30th Street, towards 9th Avenue. Here's an elevator and one of their talking water fountains. They do talk. Some of them talk, at least. I've heard them. So, Empire State Building, New Yorker again. All right. The High Line State Park.